Hey there, toy collector friends and Star Trek fans alike. Welcome back to the channel. I'm the Triple TC. That's the time traveling toy collector, which is quite useful today. And this is the USS Enterprise-J as it appeared in the TV series Star Trek Enterprise, in a one-off episode in which Captain Archer was transported into the future. So it is a future iteration of the USS Enterprise. It's been a long time since I've done an XL USS Enterprise from Eaglemoss and Hero Collector appreciation, and there's two reasons. Well, reason one is I've been waiting to see if we did get an Enterprise F following on from the XL Enterprise E that we had. Sadly, so far not the case, and obviously we lost Eaglemoss Hero Collector along the way. The other reason is, I haven't done this appreciation video, is because this model I do not appreciate. Simple. I actually hate it. Before I go into any more details on that and colour your opinion of me, please take a moment to like the video, and also if you could, drop a subscription, because it makes such a difference to me and to the channel. It really helps get the videos out there. It's completely free. There's no obligations, there's no hidden costs, there's no hidden fees, there's no hidden charges. There's only unadulterated joy and gratitude on my behalf. So please do hit that subscribe button. It helps me get to my next subscriber milestone, which is, you know, kind of important for me in a small channel in this corner of the internet. Anyway, back to the matter in hand. This model is nightmare. The design, I don't mind the design. I'm going to turn it around. I'm going to turn it around really slowly, because everything about the design of this, in terms of its representation in XL format, is a nightmare. And anyone that has this, please let me know if you found ways to mitigate it in the comments below. I have not, other than I leave it on the shelf with my other XL Enterprises, and I don't even look at it. I don't touch it, I don't breathe near it, I don't look at it. In fact, while we're on the topic, let's just get all of the negatives out of the way. This has been the only model that I've had real issues with. Out of the box, put it into this stand, and one of the nacelles snapped off. I mean, you can see, and you'll see more when I get it in hand in a few minutes, just how fragile they are. And I always comment when I'm looking at Eaglemoss Starships and other models about the fragility of these pieces. But by the same token, there is a little bit of inbuilt resilience that you would expect a product to have. It needs to be able to place, it needs to be able to be moved around. If you move house, you need to be able to pack it. This thing, you just don't entertain. Wherever you put it, make sure you don't put it high up. Make sure you don't put it anywhere where anyone can touch it. I know it sounds like I'm going over the top. I fully appreciate that. But even putting it on this base, I usually put Starships on a translucent cube to give me a bit more lift. It fell off twice. It fell off the stand twice, and lands right on its nose. And it's that's not why it looks like that. It comes that way, I promise you. But the center of gravity is off somehow. The stand holding it up doesn't work, and all I can see is the bloody things, pardon my French, the nacelles snapping off again, and it's, you know, absolutely nightmarish trying to get it back together. And the nuisance is, I do actually really like the design. It's from a far distant future at the point of Star Trek Enterprise, and I think it captures that really well. In fact, if you're following Star Trek Discovery through seasons 3, 4 and 5, there are elements of the design, although of course the nacelles are actually attached, well, more or less, that kind of go, oh, okay, I can see the progression here. But, you know, it does have some really nice layers and levels, which it captures well with the various parts that are used to put it together. It is heavy, don't get me wrong. I mean, I think that's part of the problem. The saucer section is really heavy. I think that's where there's die cast in there. I think it feels like it. Ironically, one of the few moments they've actually used it, and it causes a problem because everything else is plastic and so lightweight, so it's so prone to just tipping. And I would, you know, I think we also, this could have been, if this was angled as a support slightly more, if the degree was slightly inclined, so that the weight of the saucer was pushing back into it. It's a little too flat, I think, to be fully sound. And you can see here this peg, which should peg into hold the nacelle in place, doesn't. I don't even like touching it, to be perfectly honest with you. Gives me I mean, there's some lovely use of paint deco, which you can see. I'm reluctant to pick it up. I will pick it up so you can get a look all the way around it. But it's, you know, it's a heart-stopping moment. It's a heart-stopping moment every time I touch it. So I don't, if I can help it. But I think that saucer section, everything about it does exude sort of a far distant future, and I really do appreciate that. I've got to be careful of the nacelles because they're just so long and spindly, you can't always keep track of where they are. So really, yeah, it's a beautiful ship. There's not a lot of detail on this sort of aft section. In some ways it very much mirrors the design of the Enterprise, the NX-1 Enterprise, because it's just sort of this thin body with a saucer section and those nacelles. So there's a nice sort of symmetry between this being the furthest into the future iteration of the Enterprise that we have at the time of recording ever seen, and the very first one being the NX-01, having a very similar physical design, which I think is interesting. Right, brace yourself, I'm going to pick it up, and goodness knows what's going to happen. So I'm going to just gently lift it out of here. Move that out the way so you can get a nice look at the saucer section, which is, you know, it's that's two hands, so you can get a sense of how big and how wide that saucer section is. You can see there's some Aztecing on there, as well as the paint details. What's nice is the individual windows aren't quite as individual as they are on previous Enterprises, so Eaglemoss have done a lot better job of getting that paint in there. The central sort of bridge section, if that's where the bridge is well, let's get it up that way so you can see. Do you see what I mean about the similarities to the NX-01 in that respect? So I like that idea. It's very hard to see, so I'm going to zoom in, but the registry is there on the front. Again, I've had to go really hard in to see that. And you can't even really see the J, which is underneath it, because it's on that sort of weird little whatever that is. I don't even know what that is. But yeah, I'll come out because that's an extreme that you don't need really. But yeah, so let's move down that upper fuselage. You can see the nacelles there, and the somewhat distressingly attached. Hoping you can't tell which one it was that I fixed. That would be nice. There's a strange sort of blue dome there at the back. I can't tell you what that's for. At one point I thought, well, maybe that's where R2-D2 sits. I'm joking. I know it isn't. Right, so let's very carefully, because again, orienting, I'll just give you that frontal plane again there, so you can see how flat that profile is. I'll start to show you the underside there. There is, let me try and get the light on it, a deflector dish there at the front. Oops. Which is giving off, if you can see it, a bit of a, there's no because of the nature of the nacelles, it's very hard to show you. On the camera it's very hard to see, so let me see if I can just rotate it that way, and you can, no, there's just no way to do it, I'm afraid. If I move this out of the way here, yeah, you can just about see it's a lilac-y colour. It's like a purple, pale purple lilac colour deflector array there at the front of the saucer section. You can probably keep hearing that the nacelles catch against the review station, and it makes my blood run cold. So I'm going to hold them in plain sight while I rotate the ship around. So there's the underside. Again, you have that wonderful sort of gunmetal grey for the whole main body, really. A little bit more detailing on the underside than there was on the top for that sort of aft section, and the ventral view is as is. Another little bit of purple detailing on the back, which I suppose is the maybe that's the shuttle bay there. Maybe that's what that's for. And then I'll just bring it round full circle. So we don't get a lot of auxiliary thrust in terms of impulse engines, but then at the time that this ship's in business, we may be not using impulse engines as we use them now. So there we have the USS Enterprise NCC-1701-J. Here we go, braced for docking. Gosh, heart stopping. Again, I think the overall aesthetic and the line of it all is truly lovely. Don't get me wrong, I do love the design. I know it had a bit of a mixed reception, but you know what? It's a universe class ship. That far in the future, who knows what our technology would be like? And you know, at least it looks vaguely like the Enterprise. It could be a lot worse. Let's be honest, a lot worse, and it isn't. So hurrah! But is it a nightmare to handle? It is, yes. So if you don't have it already, and you were to say to me, is it worth collecting? Well, first of all, you'd have to find one out in the wild or the secondary market, and I don't know how successful that would be, or indeed how affordable that would be. This one I would suggest is probably more for a hardcore collector who is going to have somewhere safe to keep it, because it really is. Another example of its instability, I opened the cupboard door, so my XL Enterprises are on glass shelves that are inside a cupboard that's behind two sealed doors, to dust and do a little bit of whatever. I think I was adding something else to the collection. Open the door. The opening of the door, which I do gently because there's a lot of XL ships in there, gave it enough of a vibration to slip out of its cradle and tip forwards, and I managed to catch it. But yeah, I'm not joking when I say it's nerve-wracking handling this model. So, do you think that the USS Enterprise-J has a place on your shelf? Well, only you really know the answer to that, but it's a brave choice if you go for it. Okay, that's all I'm going to say. I am optimistic, of course, that we are going to see the Enterprise F and possibly the Enterprise G as a remodeled USS Titan, because of course we do know that the license to produce Star Trek starships and similar has now fallen to a new company, and we will start seeing some of those imminently. So that's exciting. I do understand, and this is the same across other ranges where licenses have been picked up, which I'm very excited about, but I understand that previously released and used molds are not going to be revisited. I think part of that is to secure the collectibleness of the former collection, whilst allowing the new incumbents of the licenses to proceed in their own way with their own products. And I get that. I think that's perfectly fair, and I'm very excited. I'm very excited to see what's coming soon from that Star Trek range. There's also some new Doctor Who figurines coming via Master Replicas, I think it is. So I'm keen to see what they produce. So it's an exciting time. It's an exciting time for people who previously collected Eaglemoss and Hero Collector ships. So, you know, if there's anything that catches my eye, I will be going after it. I don't pick up everything because I'm not that dedicated, I was going to say. It's not that I'm not dedicated. I've got to be able to afford it. B, I've got to be able to display it or store it until I can display it. And it also needs to be something that resonates with me. My exception to that rule, I suppose, is this, because whilst it did resonate with me and I did want it to an extent, I nearly didn't get it. And I was advised by an associate of mine who had seen the design to not get it because he said it's going to be a fragile nightmare. And he wasn't wrong. He wasn't wrong. But again, I do want to have a complete set of XL Enterprises. So, you know, I couldn't not have the Enterprise J in there just because it's got a fragility risk. although I do now wish I'd bought almost, well, it's almost insane, isn't it? But I almost wish I bought two, one that I wouldn't have taken out of its protective polystyrene in case anything happened to the first one. But then that way lies madness, doesn't it? Or does it? Anyway, thank you for spending the last 15 or 16 minutes with me. I have been the time traveling toy collector. You've been a wonderful audience, and this has been the Star Trek Enterprise USS Enterprise-J from the TV series, and produced by Eaglemoss and Hero Collector, of course. And I very much look forward to seeing you in a future, or indeed a past, video. Take care, and remember that a thing of beauty really is a toy forever. Take care, and one to beam up.